Hello ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to a new episode of Know Your Enemy. On today's show we are going to touch Nix Ox Telvanni. Short words about Nix Ox Telvanni is a combo deck. Your main goal is to reach 14 Magicka. In the past it was 13, but with the Path Mage nerf costing 7, you require 14 Magicka. You can have 13 with 1 ring charge. The strategy is to boost your Magicka as quickly as possible. Place Path Mage into Nix Ox, then Dark Rebirth into Laneth, then Uprise, repeat until you get your desired board. You can use Devious Experiments, and your main goal is at the end to draw, before your turn ends of course, Mentor's Ring and a charge creature such as a giant bat or a territorial viper. And then you combo out and you deal every piece of board damage to your opponent's face and win. That is the base layout. Now, how to win against it? Well, it's pretty easy and pretty hard for some specific classes. So rule number 1, most favorable classes are aggro decks. Why aggro decks? Because you will get right under the time the Telvanni player will need to start boosting its Magicka, start to control the board a bit, and then ultimately combo out. So decks that are basically pure aggro, such as Crusader, such as what should I say? Archer Burster, also Mid-Dagoth. You always want to go full aggro against a Telvanni deck. You don't want to know what kind of Telvanni deck, even if it's a conscription. This basically fits into the same category. So you want to finish off your opponent as fast as possible. Now, things to remember. Mid Sorcerer is also an excellent deck because it has a lot of ward creatures. It's very important because we are going to get to rule number 2. Rule number 2 state, keep your creatures alive so you can burst out as much as possible each turn. That includes having creatures that are buffed and basically immune to not lightning bolts, ice storms, reverberating strikes. So if you're playing Crusader, make sure your creatures are at least 4 HP. And for other decks, make sure that your lowest creatures are warded or protected, because the Telvanni has a lot of removals at his disposal. You have Mummify, there's the Blackhand Messenger, Territorial Viper, as I said, with Ordinary Necromancer. You can just pull Territorial Viper over and over again. There's also, if the Telvanni reaches a certain point in Magic, like 12, 11, he can play some interesting stuff, such as Ordering, or fill the board early on, just trying to compensate using doppelgangers. That's also a play. So try at your best to keep your creatures alive and burst each turn as much as possible, because Telvanni will not be able to recover. The deck has some guards. You can easily dispatch those, or get rid of them with your aggro deck, because aggro decks usually include guard removals, or at least guard silence, guard deniers. You've got the Lalu Sharpshooter. Of course, you can play. You also have chances with aggro Scout with the Catapult, because it's a self-silencing deck. You can use the silences for guards and output your damage right into the Telvanni's face. We're getting to rule number 3. Rule number 3 states, and it's a bit situational here, at least in my opinion. keep it in the shadow lane. Why? Because of those nasty territorial vipers combined with ordinary necromancers. Now, unless your creatures are mostly warded or very protected against territorial vipers, such as Dagoth or Mid-Sorcerer, you want to keep it in the shadow lane. Very few incarnations of Nix Ox Telvanni use Red Brahmin. And against Red Brahmin, you have some sort of advantage with Mid-Sorcerer, Tempo Assassin, and Mid-Dagoth with the Dress Renegade. Now, that can be a game changer and a finishing move in the end, but very few incarnations of Mid-Telvanni, sorry, not Mid-Telvanni, Nix Ox Telvanni use Red Brahmin, so you'd like to keep it in the shadow lane, and whenever a guard pops up, remove it, continue with the burst. And we're getting down to rule number 4. Use cards that can hinder your opponent's ability to combo out. You've got quite a nice lineup, and some cards that were introduced with the new expansion. So you've got Wrath of Sithis, you've got Shrine Guardian. Wrath of Sithis basically destroys any combo possibility on 14 Magicka. Shrine Guardian, every creature summoned has its attack reduced to 0. So, okay. And we also have Seducer Darkfire from the expansion, which basically gives you the ability to select a cost. You just obviously pick 7, and your opponent cannot play any cards that cost 7 Magicka. So, bye-bye Nix Ox, bye-bye Path Mage, and you're all set. Right? Wrong. There's still a lot of nasty stuff that were introduced with the new expansion, which is Jiggalag's Incursion. Now with that, Telvanni Nix Ox just got a bit buffed. Although it gives your opponent the same amount of max Magicka gain, it's pretty obvious that if that is played on turn 12 or earlier, there's no stopping unless you have one of the cards that stop Nix Ox Telvanni, such as Wrath of Sithis, or as I've said, Shrine Guardian, or Seducer Darkfire. There may be others, but these are the only ones that I was able to think of properly. And we're getting to rule number 5. And this rule, I think, concludes our cover of this deck. What I failed to mention at the start is that the Nix Ox Telvanni is basically an anti-control deck. If you're playing a control deck, rule number 5 says you're dead. Most likely you're dead. If you are a full control deck such as a Tribunal, a Mage, such in the case of my opponent right here that I was playing against, control decks are going to lose 90% of the time. Why? Because you wait on removals, but your opponent doesn't summon much. Except when, guess what, 14 Magicka hits, combo out, or even earlier, and it's game over. So if you're playing a control deck, you should pray. Oh, better said, grab your brown pants if you want to stay in the game. Otherwise, you can concede, or, I don't know, play your outs. Maybe you are in that 10% chances of success. Thank you guys for watching. I'll see you next time. Cheers!